On an ordinary April morning in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee County Courthouse became the stage for a confrontation that would reverberate nationwide. Federal agents from ICE and the FBI arrived to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an undocumented immigrant, just outside Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. The agents, representing the Trump administration's hardline immigration stance, waited in the hallway, a visible assertion of federal power. Inside, Judge Dugan faced a pivotal choice: allow the arrest to proceed or intervene, risking a direct clash with federal authority. This standoff would ignite a national debate over the limits of judicial power and the reach of federal law. Judge Dugan stood her ground in the courthouse hallway, facing down a group of federal agents who had arrived with the intent to arrest a defendant, Flores Ruiz, right outside her courtroom. With unwavering resolve, she confronted the agents, demanding to see a judicial warrant, insisting that her courtroom was not a place for surprise arrests without proper legal documentation. She questioned their authority to act within her courthouse, making it clear that the sanctity of the judicial process was not to be undermined by outside interference. Her voice echoed through the marble halls as she reminded the agents that the law applied to everyone, including those tasked with enforcing it. The agents, caught off guard by her resistance, hesitated. Unprepared for such a direct challenge from a sitting judge, they found themselves momentarily at a loss. Dugan, seizing the opportunity, directed them to the chief judge's office, effectively diverting their attention and buying herself precious time. Acting swiftly, Judge Dugan returned to her courtroom and canceled Flores Ruiz's scheduled hearing. The abrupt cancellation sent a ripple of confusion through the courtroom, as attorneys and court staff tried to make sense of the unfolding events. Without delay, she allegedly took Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a secure, non-public exit, one typically reserved for judges and high-profile witnesses. This backdoor route allowed them to bypass the waiting federal agents, slipping out of the courthouse unnoticed, at least for the moment. Prosecutors would later argue that this was not a spontaneous act, but a calculated move to obstruct justice. They claimed Judge Dugan had used her authority to shield Flores Ruiz from arrest, crossing a line that separated judicial independence from interference in law enforcement. The agents, realizing what had transpired, quickly regrouped. Spotting Flores Ruiz as he exited the building, they gave chase. After a brief but tense pursuit near the courthouse entrance, they apprehended him, but the damage had already been done. News of the incident spread rapidly, drawing a crowd of reporters and camera crews to the courthouse steps. The immediate goal of arresting Flores Ruiz was achieved, but Judge Dugan's actions ignited a fierce debate that extended far beyond the courtroom walls. Her intervention was no longer just a matter of courtroom procedure, it became a national controversy, with headlines questioning the limits of judicial power and the proper role of judges in the face of federal authority. The stage was now set for a high-stakes battle over the boundaries of judicial independence, the separation of powers, and the responsibilities of those who serve the law. The nation watched, waiting to see how far a judge could go to defend her courtroom, and what consequences she might face for doing so. 1 week after the controversy erupted, the Trump administration responded with a show of force that reverberated across the country. The air was tense as law enforcement mobilized, signaling that the government was prepared to take unprecedented action, even against those in the highest positions of authority. In the early hours of the morning, FBI agents arrived at Judge Dugan's quiet suburban home. Neighbors watched in disbelief as the respected judge, once a symbol of justice in her community, was led away in handcuffs. The arrest was swift, deliberate, and left no room for doubt about the seriousness of the charges. Judge Dugan faced grave accusations: obstruction of a federal proceeding and concealing a person to prevent arrest. These were not minor infractions, but federal felonies that could result in years, if not decades, behind bars. The legal documents, stamped and highlighted, underscored the gravity of the situation. The image of a sitting judge, still in her judicial robe, being escorted in handcuffs by federal agents sent shockwaves through the nation. News outlets replayed the footage, and social media erupted with disbelief and outrage. Overnight, Judge Dugan was suspended from the bench, her career and reputation in jeopardy. The administration's message was unmistakable: no one, not even a judge, is above the law. The spectacle of federal officials standing beneath the American flag, delivering stern statements, was meant to reinforce the seriousness of the government's stance. FBI Director Kash Patel took center stage at a packed press conference, publicizing the arrest in dramatic fashion. His words were carefully chosen, turning the event into both a political statement and a warning to other officials who might consider defying federal authority. The legal community was left reeling. Lawyers, judges, and scholars debated the implications, raising urgent questions about the separation of powers, judicial independence, and the potential for political overreach. The arrest sparked heated discussions in courthouse hallways and legal circles nationwide. The case blurred the line between a judge's protected duties and personal actions, setting a precedent that sent chills through courthouses across the country. As the legal system braced for what would come next, the nation watched, aware that the outcome could reshape the boundaries of judicial power for years to come. News of Judge Dugan's arrest instantly deepened America's political divide. Republicans hailed the move as justice served, framing Dugan as an activist judge aiding a dangerous criminal. Democrats and critics saw it as an authoritarian attack on judicial independence, warning of a dangerous precedent. Media outlets amplified both narratives, fueling outrage and fear on both sides. Legal experts warned that arresting judges for actions tied to their duties could fatally compromise impartial justice. The story became a flashpoint in a larger constitutional crisis, with the judiciary's independence hanging in the balance. The Trump administration doubled down, defending Judge Dugan's arrest as a necessary stand for law and order. Officials warned that any interference with federal immigration enforcement would be met with prosecution. The administration's messaging was aggressive and clear. Local defiance would not be tolerated. FBI Director Patel accused Dugan of endangering public safety by escalating the situation. The administration framed her as an enemy of the state, not a defender of judicial independence. The arrest, along with similar cases, was used to showcase the administration's resolve. The message, no official, not even a judge, could stand in the way of their immigration agenda. Beneath the headlines, a complex legal debate raged. Critics called the arrest a terrifying breach of the separation of powers, arguing that judges must be free from executive intimidation. Supporters countered that Dugan was charged for personal conduct, helping a defendant evade arrest, not for a judicial ruling. The prosecution relied on the supremacy clause, insisting federal law trumps local interference. The core question: where is the line between a judge's official duties and criminal conduct? Dugan's defenders argued managing courtroom access is part of her authority. Prosecutors said leading a man through a back door was not. The case became a national test of the limits of judicial power and federal authority. Its outcome would define the boundaries for every judge and official in America. Judge Dugan's arrest was part of a broader, more aggressive second-term immigration crackdown. The administration moved beyond border enforcement, targeting officials and institutions seen as obstacles. The Dugan case and others signaled a new willingness to prosecute even judges for perceived obstruction. This created a climate of fear among local officials, who now faced the threat of federal prosecution. The administration treated dissent as subversion, demanding absolute compliance. The Milwaukee standoff became a symbol of the escalating conflict between federal power and local autonomy. The rules of political engagement and the balance of power had fundamentally changed. The Dugan case exposed deep fissures in American governance and forced a reckoning over the balance of power. What began as a local dispute quickly escalated into a national crisis, revealing just how fragile the boundaries between branches of government can be. Americans watched as the legal and political systems collided in real time, with each side claiming to defend the Constitution. The case became a mirror, reflecting the anxieties and divisions simmering beneath the surface of American society. Watching a judge arrested by the executive branch felt like a Rubicon had been crossed, raising fears for judicial independence. For many, it was a moment that shattered the illusion of invulnerability surrounding the judiciary. The sight of law enforcement leading a judge away in handcuffs sent shockwaves through the legal community and the public alike, igniting debates about the separation of powers and the potential for abuse. The incident made the sanctuary city debate brutally real, showing the lengths a determined federal government would go. No longer was this just a theoretical argument in courtrooms or on cable news. It was now playing out on city streets with real consequences for officials and residents. The federal response was swift and uncompromising, sending a clear message to local governments across the country. It forced a national conversation. Can local officials carve out exceptions to federal law, or does the federal government always have the final say? Across the country, citizens and lawmakers alike grappled with these questions, debating the limits of local autonomy and the reach of federal authority. The Dugan case became a touchstone for broader issues of states' rights, civil liberties, and the meaning of American democracy itself. The Trump administration's actions showed how quickly democratic norms can be upended. What once seemed unthinkable, direct intervention in the judiciary, became reality, leaving many to wonder what other lines might be crossed in the future. The sense of uncertainty and vulnerability lingered long after the headlines faded. As of January 2026, Dugan's legal battle continues, but the political and constitutional damage is done. The case has set precedents and sparked legal challenges that will shape American governance for years to come. Even as the courts deliberate, the scars left on the nation's institutions remain visible, a testament to the high stakes of the conflict. Her story is a stark reminder of a nation struggling to define itself. Caught between ideals of justice and the raw exercise of power, the Dugan drama is more than a legal battle. It's a symbol of America's ongoing struggle to reconcile its founding principles with the realities of modern governance, and a warning of how easily those principles can be tested in turbulent times.